about this Harbor Freight gasoline digger I bought to make holes. It's a 6-inch hole it'll leave, and it's the Predator, and it's about $200, maybe a little over. And a big warning on this thing is it does work great, and I'll talk about it later, but the pull start on it. This pull start isn't the original one, the one that came with it. The one that came with it is real little, and it's longer on one side than the other. And when you pull that, that thing pulls it out right between your fingers. Especially like when you're first starting it and it's cold and you have a little bulb in here, just like a weed eater, and you press it to get gas in it and it wants to start. Well, sometimes it'll want to kick and you don't have that string clear out, and it'll pull it out of your hand and it'll go right through. And of course, I was holding it up here like this, pulling it like this to start it. Well, what happens is this snaps out of your hand. You have this arm straight. You can see right here on my arm, that's what you get. And that's a lot lighter than it was. That's a few days ago that happened. Man, that thing pulled back and smacked my arm right there. Stung like hell. And I mean, it is nasty. So what I started doing was I lay it down on the ground and I put my foot on here, on this when it's laying down. Then you can pull it. Just like you put a chainsaw on the ground and you put your foot in it and pull. It'd be the same thing. But once it's running and everything, then usually you can start it and it'll start right up. You can pull the string clear out. But it's at first start. But every time I would lay it down, and sometimes on this side, now you have to watch because the throttle's over here and you got a cable right here. My wife would put her foot on that side. Now it's held good, and then I could really pull it, you know, clear out and everything. Big warning on it. And with this Predator, I'll talk a little bit about running it. What you get with it is you get a little bag of tools, wrenches, a big Allen thing, spark plug wrench. I have no idea what this black thing is for, and there's no instruction book with it. It has marked on it 50 to 1 gas mix in it, stuff like that. And they give you a bottle to mix your gas, and there's a line up here, and from there down it says gasoline, and then right up here is 2 lines, and it says oil. So you can mix your oil really quick with this. Put that in there, shake it up, but something on here, it said you must add fuel stabilizer and 2.5 fluid ounces 2-cycle oil to every gallon of gas. Now they're saying you use that gas stabilizer every time you use this. And it might be because what happens is you don't put the stabilizer in, it'll still run, it'll be fine, it has oil to lube it, but you shut it off and then you forget and you put it away. That's where the gas in the carburetor dries up, and then it won't start the next time. You'll have that trouble. Like if you're done using it for, you know, who's going to do it like every day? Because I used this, you know, day and day and day, you know, I used it, and then, so I started doing what they said. I got the stabilizer, and the stabilizer, that little bottle handles 10 gallons of gas. So when you put in here in this bottle to mix it, and this, once you put this in here, it won't completely fill it. You could mix 2, put 1 in and then part of another one to fill this clear up if you wanted to. But what I have figured out is I have a, open this, and I have a little syringe my wife happened to have. And what it is I take, and I'll show about how much I put in each one. Each time I fill that little thing to use it. If you can see, the red part is the stabilizer. That's all the more I put in it. I put that in that container first, then I put the gasoline and then the oil, and then I put the lid on and shake it up. But that's it right there, and I can't see the lines on it. It's milliliters, and it's probably 1 milliliter, if that helps you. But that's all the more. that ain't even a tablespoon of a teaspoon. I mean, a teaspoon. That ain't even a teaspoon of oil. And that's probably all I need. Because if this is good for 10 gallons, you don't need very much in there. But I put it in every time. I'd suggest putting it in because it says to. And it's better to put it in than not and be on a safe side. But I believe that's why they do that. So that when you're done with it, it's in there, it's in the carburetor, it's running through it, you shut it off, you can put it away, you know, and then if you forget about it, you don't go back and add the oil, stabilizer and run it to get it through there. And like my weed eaters, I do that. And a lot of times people say, can you look at my thing? I tear it apart, I clean the carb out, the jets are all plugged up because the gas evaporates, the oil's behind, and there's thick oil and they're blocking everything, and that's all it is. Use carb cleaner, spray it out, put it back together, it runs. So that's what they are saying to do. And to start it, you press the priming bulb 3 or 4 times. Then later, when I go to start it, I don't prime it. Once it's running, you don't have to. You just have to pull it, you know, after you've been running it. Like you stop and you work and then you go to start it again. And right here is a thing. Now it says run and start, but it says choke over here with run. So I always put it over here to start, and it does start easier. But then the run, you think the choke would be over on the start side. That's the way they have that printed. I don't know why, because it has start, run, and choke. So that is not choke over here. It says choke, but it's over here, start. Then you start it and let it run a little bit. Then you can put it in the middle and then over here. And then if you just pull your throttle real easy, the auger will turn easy. But if you don't put any throttle on it, it'll sit there and idle and the auger won't turn. So it probably has a thing just like a chainsaw. When I was doing it with the little handle, I threw it away. As soon as I took it off, I told the wife, throw it away, because I went to a chainsaw place and got this one. And all you do is pull the rope out, cut the knot off the little one that was on there, and then just thread this through. Make sure you don't let that rope go in there. In fact, I pulled it out enough that Lowe's could hold on to it too. Then you tie a knot, put it on, and you got it. But this is my workshop. Let me step up in here. 3 bikes, lathe milling machine. I got, you know, everything out I'm working on, this and that. I said, I don't have enough room. Well, it was either build on front of the garage or the back of the garage, or bring a building in to set here. And I thought, I'm going the easy route. I'm going to buy one of the building. I'm going to buy a barn. So I took my ramp out of here, ripped it out. What I did was I put framework in there to set the new building on. I'm setting it like that because the barns and buildings you buy, they say, well, have a bed of gravel, put pavers down. When they bring it, they can level it up with the pavers and that, and they're gone. That's fine. But I am going to go from that floor into my next building that's going to be out here. And the way they make them is the buildings you get brought in and set down, from the floor to the ground is 7 5/8 inches. So I started when I ripped all this off, and that board there has to be replaced. I put a little stake right there, and it's 7 5/8 from that floor down. Then I went over here and I put my, had to figure it out with the thickness of this board, my posts. And the reason I put posts on is this way it'll never move. On gravel, it might give and take a little bit. I didn't want that because these 2 buildings are going to be joined. So that has to be solid. So what I did was I took and got 4x6s to put for my skids. There's always 2 skids on the sides, clear on the sides of the buildings. And I did 8 footers. because these are going to be heavy. You don't want no 16 footers. So I put a seam in the middle and a post under there, then one down at the other end. Now, the building's going to be 20 foot long. So I can leave 2 foot from here to there, overhang. Because if you come out of one building into this, your weight's not going to lift the building on the other end. So there's 2 foot there. Then up at the other end, there will be 2 foot from there out. That way I can use 8 footers and you can handle them, because a 4x6 is pretty heavy. Then putting the posts in, I put them in there, marked where everything would be, took them out, cut them, put them back in, checked that everything was level with everything, and I came this way with it. Then I went across to the other end, did that one on that side. And the reason I went with 4x6s is they have a 4x4 skid on those buildings. Now when that comes in, this is 4 foot wide, or 4 inches wide. It's a 2x4. So theirs is a 4x4 inch. Now the reason I did that is so when their skid's on there, they have a little bit of play on each side, back and forth. It's a little wider, so when he brings it in, it'll be easier to slide it on. I thought if I put a 4x4, he's going to have to hit it dead on and watch you don't go off of it. Where here you have a little bit to play with, you know, and he can slide it right off the truck. Now, I did the same thing here. I used 8 footers. I have the beam there, and I know his runner's going to be there. Well, there's going to be a gap. There's not going to be a runner under here real close to it. So again, I could go with an 8 footer and leave a little bit on each side. It doesn't hurt. Now, I have this one, and I have that one down there. I put it in the middle of this board to make it easy. Now, some of them have the 2 rails on the side, and they'll have 2 here, and some have 3 in the middle. So they would have either 4 or 5 beams under there. I don't know where his is at, and if I call him and ask him, he might give me one. Well, I might get one that's different. This way, the middle beams, wherever they're at, they'll slide right up on these 2. So I'm covered this way, and I'm covered this way and this way. The main thing is the board from the outside here to the outside over there is 12 foot and 2 inches. It's a 12-foot building, and I went out and checked a lot of them. They're exactly 12 on the outside, and the skid's right under there. So I know I'm good there. So I made it the extra inch on the side because, you know, this is wider than what his skid will be. So that works out perfect. Then I had to remove some dirt here and down there, so the skids this way won't hit when he brings it in. I had 10 posts to do, and you can see I used foam. They have this new type of foam that it's in a bag, and there's a seal across it. You take that seal off, then it's one big bag, and you mix this stuff back and forth, work it for they say 30 seconds. I was going by 40 seconds. Then you pour it in the hole, and it's way down in there, and it just starts expanding, and it's a real hard foam. It's for putting posts in. So instead of getting 10 bags, well, you need a little more. I bought 11 bags of the foam, and 1 bag equals 1 bag of cement, like a 50-pound bag of cement. Well, that makes it that you don't have to lift them bags. I bought 11 of the bags of foam in a box. I could pick it up and just put it in the trunk, bring it in here, you know, and it's nice, no dust.